Food is a lot of times a vehicle for other things, whether it be conversation or family. I know that sounds cliche, but it's the truth. I made dinner last night and it was for my boys, and I put a lot of thought into it. It was just, a little bowl of broth and noodles, but it was for them, and so food for me is really just an act of love in a way. So that's how I a lot of times approach it. So I'm Josh, and we're in Westward right now, and we do a ton of oysters because there's a lot of oysters here in Washington and people tend to love them quite a bit. I think it's always great to try different kinds of oysters next to each other because they really represent where they've grown. Just like a wine would showcase the terroir, or the earth that it's grown in, an oyster is going to show where it was grown in the ocean and how it was handled as well. So you just take a little bit of mignonette, not a whole lot. That's it. And with mignonettes, you can go all kinds of different ways. Mignonettes can be made with any kind of vinegar. You can put all kinds of different garnishes and flavorings in there, whether it be cucumber or ginger. You could use wine. You could use Prosecco in the mignonette. You could use lemon juice or a combination of all those things. Really, it's kind of sort of how you want to highlight your oyster or not at all. And speaking of wine, a lot of times you're going to end up drinking a crisp, sort of very bright and acidic white wine, like a Muscadet. You have a Cava, you have an Albarino, a sour ale, which is like a Flemish sour ale. I love beer, and I think that even a Hefeweizen with some lemon in the Hefeweizen is a great way to enjoy an oyster. A stout like Guinness is super popular with oysters, but if I were to choose one, I'm probably going to choose Vinho Verde or even a Pinot Gris, something very sort of grassy and bright with the oyster. So that's kind of how I would approach it. But again, you can do whatever you want. It's an oyster, and drink and eat it however you like.